안녕하세요. 제 목소리 잘 들리시나요? 안녕하세요. 제 목소리 잘 들리시면 얘기해주세요. 자, 테슬라 주주총회 10분 전입니다. JSC님, 핀디님, 클레어님, 시애틀 유니스님 안녕하세요. 자, 목소리 잘 들리나요? 제 목소리 잘 들리는지 얘기해주세요. 날다 DJ님 안녕하세요. 네, 잘 들려서 다행이네요. 예. 신디님 안녕하시고요. 유니스님 안녕하시고요. 클레어님 안녕하세요. 예, 초코수아님 안녕하시고, 예, 오랜만이에요. 토론토에서 오셨네요. 오늘 또 제가 미국에 돌아왔습니다. 미국에 돌아온 지 4일 됐는데요. 예, 낮에 이렇게 방송을 할 수 있으니까 참 좋네요. 자, 고인선님 안녕하시고요. 예. 이 테슬라 홈페이지인데요. 오늘 방송이 잘 됐으면 좋겠는데 하다가 안 끊기길 바랍니다. 지금 화면 공유하면서 하는데 미국이 워낙 인터넷이 느려서 가끔씩 끊기더라고요. 예. 산노름님 안녕하세요. 예. 반갑죠. 예, 날다 DJ님 미네소타, 예, 환영합니다. 예, 음악은 테슬라에서 보여주는 거죠 지금. 예. 예, 지금 테슬라 주주총회는 중부 시간으로 4시 반이기 때문에 미국 동부 시간으로는 5시 반에 시작하죠. 그래서 아직 8분 남았고요. 한국 시간으로는 새벽 6시 반에 시작합니다. 예, JSC님 LA에서 오셨네요. 환영합니다. 처음 뵙는 것 같네요. JS 준성님인가? 진성님인가? LA. 자, 지금 테슬라의 프레몬 팩토리가 나오고 있습니다. 예, 캘리포니아 프레몬이죠. 프리몬트. 예, 유니스님 낮방송이니까 잽싸게 들어오셨다 그러고, 예, 시애틀은 그래도 1시 22분이잖아요 지금. 예, 지금 프레몬 팩토리에서 17,000명 정도 고용하고 있다고 나오고 있네요. 차우스키 복순이님 안녕하시고요. 예. 제가 미국에 지금 온 지 4일 됐는데 아직은 시차 적응을 하고 있어요. 그래서 지금은 한국 시간 새벽 6시 23분이라 제가 지금 거의 밤을 샌 거랑 거의 비슷해요. 그래서 머리가 약간 몽롱합니다. 자, 오늘 제가 전문 동시통역사는 아니기 때문에 좀 예, 약간 좀 예, 부족한 감이 있어도 이해하시기 바랍니다. 예. 맞네, 2시네요. 맞아, 3시간 차이니까 5시 23분이니까 거의 2시죠. 예, 2시 23분 시애틀에서 오셨네. 예. 지금 이게 테슬라 공식 홈페이지에서 보여주는 화면이에요. 그래서 자, 이렇게 이제 홈페이지 가시면 보실 수 있는데 6분 정도 남았다고 나오죠. 이게 테슬라 공식 홈페이지입니다. 그래서 테슬라 공식 홈페이지 가시면 이거 보실 수 있어요. 2020년 애니얼 미팅. 여기 가면 이렇게 이제 라이브 스트림 한다고 나오는데 저는 이미 이걸 눌러가지고 유튜브에 지금 와 있는 거죠. 예, 유튜브로 가시면 이런 게 보여집니다. 신디님 목소리에서 피곤함이 느껴져요. 그런가요? 예. 자, 날짜 디제이님 컨디션 좋아 보이세요? 예, 좋아 보이나요? 예, 날짜 디제이님이 아까 미네소타라 그러셨나요? 예, 그런 것 같고, 예. 자, 2005 스카이님이신가요? 예, 해팡님 안녕하세요. 예, 해팡님. 예. 아름다운 세상님 안녕하시고요. 카탈루냐님 캘리포니아 애너하임. 예. 예, 지금 캘리포니아는 2시 24분. 자, 여기 동부는 5시 24분. 콜로라도는 4시 24분인가요? 예. 예, 아름다운 세상님 감사해요. 웰컴백 교수님. 예, 제가 돌아왔습니다. 예. 시애틀 유니스님 6개월 지내신 한국 생활이 다시 미국 생활로 바뀌시느라 피곤하실 것 같죠. 예. 지금 미국에 왔는데 옛날에는 굉장히 미국 생활이 자연스러웠는데 지금 굉장히 어색해요. 그래서 적응하느라고 지금 힘들어하고 있습니다. 제가. 예. 메이크업 하신 건 아니시죠? 예, 메이크업 안 했습니다. 메이크업 해보이나 지금? 메이크업 안 했습니다. 저. 예. 맨 얼굴입니다. 예. 자, 복돌님 안녕하시고요. 시카고에서 오셨네요. 자, 환영합니다. 그런데 예. 제가 예, 미국에 6개월 만에 왔더니 정말 많은 것들이 적응을 해야 돼요. 옛날에 너무 자연스러웠는데. 화바님 안녕하세요. 오시고요. 자, 테슬라 주주총회 4분 전입니다. 사실 지금 시차 적응이 안 돼가지고 지금 한국 시간으로 밤샌 그런 느낌이라서 오늘 이거 라이브 방송 동시통역 할까 말까 고민 많이 했는데 그래도 뭐 부족 하나만 같이 보는 게 재밌잖아요. 또 소크라테슬라님 안녕하시고요. 예. 제가 옛날 벌써 작년이죠. 예, 작년 초부터 예, 이렇게 주주총회 때 같이 옛날에는 이렇게 컴퓨터 들고 라이브 방송한 적이 있었는데 아무튼 주주총회 이렇게 같이 보는 것도 또 저희 미투리 마을 전통 중에 하나죠. 예. 소크라테슬라님 샌프란시스코 프리몬트까지 가셨어요? 대단하다 정말. 메릴랜드에서 프리몬트까지 가셨어요? 야, 이거 주주총회 보러 가신 거예요, 소크라테슬라님? 예. 난나이님 안녕하시고 반가워요. 예. 클리어님 오늘 실적 발표 많이 올려드렸죠. 예, 감사하다고 하시네요. 예, 오늘 많이 올렸습니다. 예. 이렇게 라방 하시면서 시차 적응하시는 거죠. 지금 졸려요. 되게 졸려서 이게 잘 들릴지는 모르겠네. 예, 제가 미국에서 라방 하니까 미국 분들이 많이 오시네요, 확실히. 예. 소크라테슬라님, 로드 트립 중이에요. 야, 어떻게 메릴랜드에서 테슬라를 타고 샌프란시스코까지 로드 트립을 하신 거예요? 저도 옛날에 해보긴 했는데 거의 한 3일 꼬박 걸려서 갔겠는데요. 소크라테슬라님 정말 대단하십니다. 예. 자, 샌디에고에서 유레카까지 갑니다. 비행기로 샌디에고로 가서 로드트립 하고 있는 거죠? 메릴랜드에서 가신 거 아니시죠? 예. 자, 2분 정도 남았습니다. 주주총회 지금 뭐 이것저것 보여주고 있네요. 음악이 좋으니까 막 춤을 추고 싶은데 이게 댄스 음악이잖아요. 역시 테슬라가 이 약간 전기 자동차라 그런지 몰라도 음악도 약간 테크노스럽습니다. 예. 슈퍼차저가 전 세계적으로 35,000개가 넘었다고 얘기가 나오고 있네요. 예. 소크라테슬라님 뭐 역시 LA까지 비행기를 타고 거기서 이제 로드트립 하시는 거죠. 예. 주주님 어이 오세요. 예, 반갑습니다. 주주님 왜 또 아이디 바꿨어? 내가 주주님 아이디 바꾼 거 알았어. 예. 주주님이 원래 아이디가 뭔지 제가 압니다. 예, 환영합니다. 예. 얘기 안 할게요. 주주. 캘리포니아 사시고요. 예. 교수님 방송이 미국이 훨씬 좋다고 하시는데 아름다운 세상님. 아 그런가요? 제가 미국에 오면 좀 힘을 받나? 예. 예, 소크라테슬라님은 LA까지는 일단은 예, 비행기로 가시고 거기서 차를 빌려서 로드트립을 하신다 그럽니다. 샌디에고 갔다가 또 샌프란시스코 갔다가 그래도 꽤 멀어요. 예, 고생 많으시겠어요. 예. 야, 풀셀프 드라이빙 FSD가 10만 대가 넘었다고 합니다. 미국에서 뭐 이것저것 보여주고 있네요. 예. 뭐 그냥 태양열도 굉장히 많이 자 배치가 됐고요. 예. 주주님 씨 플리즈 안티가 있어요. 알겠어요. 예, 알겠어요 주주님. 제가 조용히 하겠습니다. 예. 날다 DJ님 웃음이 반이네요. 방 교수님. 예, 제가 웃음이 좀 많아요. 이 삶의 역경을 하도 많이 겪었더니 세상에 웃을 일이 참 많습니다. 음악까지 좋아. 예. 자, 작년에 300만 정도의 예, 직업 네, 신청이 있었다고 하네. 잡 애플리케이션이. 테슬라에서 일하는 게 인기가 많은가 봐요. 예. 주주님 지금 라스베가스까지 가셨다 그러네. 대단하세요. 예. 예, 구독, 좋아요, 알람 설정은 제 채널 향상에 크게 도움이 됩니다. 예. 야, 저 미국에 오니까 이렇게 또 낮에 예, 동부시간 5시 31분에 이렇게 라방도 하고 그럽니다. 좋네요. Thank you for your support as a shareholder. 예, 주주로서 당신의 지지에 감사하다는 메시지가 지금 나오고 있습니다. 우리 다 테슬라 주주죠. 예. 은주님 안녕하세요. 자, 주주총회 시작합니다. 빵이님 안녕하세요. 예. 주주총회 시작합니다. 이제 댓글 안 볼게요.
Good afternoon, everyone.
안녕하세요.
Welcome to Tesla's 2022
테슬라 2022년 주총회 오신 거 환영합니다.
My name is Martin Vieca. I'm the Vice President of Investor Relations, and I'll be the chair of today's meeting.
예, 부사장이 나왔네요. 일론 머스크가 안 나오고.
We get to get a proper attended meeting this year with so many people in the audience. We have more people in the audience this year than we've ever had before.
예, 사람이 더 많죠.
First and foremost, I just really wanted
코로나
to
때문에
thank
사람 많이
all of our
없었는데.
investors and particularly our retail shareholders that have been so
예, 주주들한테 너무 감사하다고 하네요. 특히 저희 같은 주주들한테.
so supportive and just so engaged over the years. And
참여도 너무 잘하고 지지도 잘해줘서 고맙다고 합니다.
Each vote really matters. So, you know, thank you so much for taking time to cast your ballot and do your part.
와줘서 감사합니다.
And we're hopeful that from now on, every year, you will be casting your ballots.
예, 매년 투표를 하기 바란다.
First, we're going to do the formal part of the meeting, which will cover 13 items that investors.
오늘 13개를 다룬다고 합니다.
And after the voting, I will introduce Tesla's co-founder and CEO Elon Musk.
일론 머스크 나온다고 하네요. 13개 아이템 이후에 일론 머스크 나온다고 합니다.
About Tesla and the year in review. At this time, I would like to thank members of the Tesla team and the board who are here with us today.
테슬라 팀에
A
감사하고요.
representative from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tesla's independent auditor, is present on the phone as well.
예, 감사하는 사람도
I
있대요.
would like to introduce you to our chair, Robin Denholm, chair of Tesla's board, who would like to say a few words.
예, 테슬라 이사진 의사장, 자 이사장이 얘기를 하겠습니다.
This is the short part of the agenda. So thank you, Martin, and good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to Tesla's 2022
환영합니다.
annual shareholder meeting. delighted that we are here in person again this year, and I'm also really thrilled to see so many of you.
많은 사람을 직접 보니까 좋다고 합니다.
Texas in Austin. And so,
텍사스
because we know
오스틴이죠.
that not everyone can join us in person, we would need
모든
a very
사람이
large
다
stadium
올 수는
to
없는데
actually have everyone. And because we have a lot of investors as well around the country and around the planet, we actually have also got a lot of shareholders online today. And
예,
I'd like to
온라인에
welcome them to
주주들이
this
지금 많이
meeting
있고
as
전
well.
세계적으로
So a big
투자자들이
welcome
있다고
to all
얘기하고
of our virtual
모두 환영합니다. 박수 쳐야죠 저희도.
I would also like to thank our amazing investors. And
투자자들한테
acknowledge
감사해야
you,
하고
because
있습니다.
without you, we would not be here today. It is because of your support that we have become the company that we are. And that
당신들
we
때문에
have been
지금의
able to
우리가
make so
있습니다.
much progress against our mission of accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
예, 지속 가능한 에너지로 저희가 예, 변화해가고 있다고 합니다.
Energy storage and solar panels enabled our customers
에너지
to
보관과
avoid
예,
emitting
태양열판
8.4 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And to put that in context,
지구 온난화
that
방지에
means
도움을
that
많이
we
하고
avoided
있습니다.
emissions by using Tesla products last year. It was the equivalent of driving gas-powered cars for 20 billion miles, and that is 20 billion with a B.
가스가 예, 가솔린 차가
And
10
as you all
빌리언이죠.
know, that we are still in the very early phases of this
이나 나왔다고
transition.
합니다.
And as I mentioned last year, by 2030, we aim to sell 20 million electric vehicles per annum.
2030년까지 2천만 대 팔기로 목표를 세웠다고 합니다.
And we're making great progress towards achieving this goal. In June of this year, we achieved the highest vehicle production month in our history.
6월 달에
Despite supply
생산 정말 많이
headwinds
했습니다.
and despite the shutdowns in Shanghai.
상하이
And
문
we
닫았음에도
continue to
불구하고
ramp our factories both here in Austin as well as in Germany. And most people
오스틴,
know Tesla
베를린
for our
공장이
cars,
열었고요.
but we are also making a great big impact with our solar and energy storage business as well.
예,
Last year
태양열
alone, Tesla
예, 스토리지
sold 4
산업에도 큰 영향을
gigawatt
미쳤다고
hours
합니다.
of energy storage products. That represents
에너지 보관에
enough energy
큰
to
영향을
power
미쳤다고
3
합니다.
million homes. Tesla's
300만
energy
집에
storage
큰
deployments
도움을
have nearly
줬다고 합니다.
quadrupled in the last 4 years. And last year represented over 15% of the gigawatt hours globally. Over the past decade, Tesla's solar panels have generated more electricity than has been consumed by our factories and by all of the Tesla
태양열
cars fleet on the
패널이
road
많은
combined.
에너지를 생산해냈다고
So in
합니다.
theory, today, all US domestic electricity needs, as well as the vehicle and transportation needs, could be met by solar power alone. We're also continuously working on reducing the cost of our solar and storage products in order to foster mass adoption. Using renewable energy sources like solar and wind with battery storage, it's fast becoming the cheapest energy option available.
예, 그래서 아무튼 태양열 발전에 있어서 비용을 줄이려고 계속해서 노력해 왔다고 합니다.
환경에
좋은 영향을 미쳤다고 합니다.
As we discussed in our impact report, we're constantly working to improve not only the positive impact of our products, but also to reduce the energy and water consumption that we are using in our manufacturing process. In fact, our goal is for all of our factories to be carbon neutral. And to that
웬만하면 이산화탄소를 안 쓰려고 노력하고요. 에너지 소비를 줄이려고 노력한다고
by
합니다.
building increasingly sustainable factories, covering our rooftops with solar panels, leveraging AI to reduce the energy consumption.
예, 지붕에는 태양열 패널을 깔고 그 다음에 뭐 에너지 소비를 줄이기 위해서 AI를 쓰고 여러 가지 에너지 소비를 줄이려고 노력을 한다고 그 말을 하고
less
있습니다.
water per vehicle than almost any other traditional car maker, and we are continuously exploring ways to reduce water further throughout our operations, including optimizing and eliminating processes that are water intensive, harvesting rainwater, and also reusing reclaimed and
물 사용도
recycled
굉장히
water.
줄이려고 노력한다고 합니다.
Sustainability is our main driver and motivator.
지속 가능한 발전이 이 회사의 주요 목표라고 합니다.
Our mission as a company, it drives all of our employees, our shareholders, our customers, and it underscores everything that we do as directors. This month marks my 8th anniversary as a director at Tesla. And I, along with my fellow board members, many of whom
이
are here
사진이
today
지금
and
9명인데
online,
어젠가 한
who are
명이
here,
이제 그만둔다고
with
얘기가
us today.
나왔는데 그 얘기하는 것
And we could
같습니다.
not be more proud to serve as your board, to help ensure that the framework of governance needed to succeed in our mission. Our governance model has enabled us to remain focused on making decisions that matter, often bold decisions that unlock growth
이 사진은
potential.
뭐 어려운 결정들을 해 나가고 있다고 합니다.
Engineering and manufacturing EVs from the ground up, rather than being just a supplier of components. By building the world's largest lithium-ion battery factory today, and so that we can scale our operations efficiently. Making investments in an international network of stores, service centers, and supercharging
뭐
stations
스토어라든지
to expand
리튬
customer
뭐
convenience and
공장이라든지
access. And
뭐
we remain dedicated
열심히 하고
to
있다는
advancing
얘기하고
your
있습니다.
interests, your shareholder interests, and firmly believe that good
주주들의 이익을 위해서
governance
열심히 일을
is a
하고 있다고 합니다.
hallmark of sustainability. Driving long-term value, protecting shareholder interests, and ensuring
장기적인
our
이득을
actions are
추구하고
aligned with
있고
our values.
주주들의 이익을 최대한 유지하려고 노력한다고 합니다.
And as directors, we listen to and value your voice and
이 사진은 당신들의 목소리를 잘 듣고 있습니다.
questions during our earnings calls or communicating with us through our board portal or attending and interacting with us at events like this.
주주들의 목소리를 잘 듣기 위해서 상호작용을 잘 하고 있다고 합니다. 여러 가지 미디엄을 통해서.
launched a new shareholder platform to facilitate your interaction with management, participating in company events, and receiving information directly relevant to you as a shareholder. You'll be hearing more updates
중요한
on this
정보는
platform in
주주들한테
the
잘
near
알려준다고
future.
합니다.
Thank you.
제시카님 안녕하세요.
Once again, I want to thank you for your support and for continuing to be our partner along this incredible and important journey. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of Tesla's amazing employees around the world.
예, 고용인들한테 감사한다고 노동자들한테 감사한다고 인사하고 있습니다.
You're phenomenal. And lastly, I would also
마지막으로
like to thank Larry Ellison, who
Larry
has
Ellison.
diligently served as a director over the last 3 years. Your contributions have helped us as a board and also as a company greatly. And with that, I want to hand it over to Martin again. Thank you.
예, 디렉터한테 감사했고요. 마틴 부사장한테 다시 마이크를 전달하고 있습니다.
Thank you very much, Robin. I
루시드랑
will now
분위기 좀
call the meeting
틀리죠.
to order. The time is now 4:42 Central Time PM, and I declare that the polls are now open. We have already received over the past few weeks voting proxies from our stockholders, meaning that almost all the votes
예,
have been
프락시 이렇게
counted
투표를 다
and were already
받았는데
submitted before this meeting. However, if you wish to vote your shares, or if you would wish to change your vote, you may do so through the virtual meeting site. For those here in person, ballots and ballot boxes were made available for you prior to the meeting. Tesla's board of directors has appointed
아직도 투표를 바꾸려면 버추얼 미팅 가가지고 바꿀 수 있다고
of
하네요.
election for this meeting. Computershare has taken and signed an oath as inspector of election and has certified that starting on June 23rd, 2022, the proxy materials or the notice of internet availability of the proxy materials will mailed or provided
6월 23일부터 투표할 수 있게끔 다 이렇게 배분이 됐다고 합니다.
We have majority of outstanding shares represented at the meeting, so I declare that there's a quorum present and that we may proceed with a meeting.
예, 지금 사람이 충분히 있기 때문에 투표를 진행할 수 있다고 합니다.
Number one, the election of two Class 3 directors, Ira Enterprise and Kathleen Wilson Thompson, to serve for a term of 3 years or until their respective successors are duly elected and qualified. If proposal 2 of the agenda is approved, then Mr. Enterprise and Ms. Wilson Thompson would serve for a term of 2 years or until their respective successors are duly elected and qualified. Number 2.
예, 두 명의 이사진이 2년의 임기로 고용이 될 것 같고,
to reduce director terms to 2 years.
예, 3년이었던 걸 2년으로 이사진 임기를 줄이죠.
Certificate of incorporation and bylaws to eliminate applicable supermajority voting requirements. Number 4, to adopt amendments or certificate of incorporation to increase the number of authorized shares of common stock by 4 billion common shares.
주식을 40억 주를 더 늘리는 거 있습니다.
The appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP, Tesla's independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year 2022. Tesla's board has recommended that our stockholders vote for each of the director nominees and for each of those proposals. We have also received 8 stockholder proposals as described in our proxy statement. I would like to remind our stockholders that Tesla's board has prepared a statement in opposition to each of those proposals, which appear in our proxy statement. The first stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding proxy access. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal.
예, 프락시 액세스인데 예, 투표권 액세스에 대해서 지금 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Who is on the line to present the proposal? Mr. McRitchie, I would like to invite you to speak. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Tesla's opposition statement says the board recognizes proxy access is a topic of growing interest in the investor community. Unlike 79% of the S&P 500, our board has failed to adopt any provision to provide shareholders with a real voice in directly nominating board members, our representatives, on Tesla's corporate governance. Instead, the board promises to continue to monitor the topic. Tesla further argues our proposal provides no safeguards against corporate raiders to effect a change in control. Nonsense. Our proposal is limited by law to 500 words.
별로 중요한 것 같진 않고요.
To allow long-term shareholders who've owned at least 3% of Tesla continuously for 3 years or more be able to nominate. 예,
주주들이 이사진이나 대표를 뽑는데 접근성이 좀 부족하다는 얘기를 계속 하고 있습니다. 클리언님 투표에 참가했어요.
Getting more than 50% of the shareholder vote may mean little at Tesla. Our proposal to eliminate supermajority requirements at Tesla won 56% of the vote at our 2020 meeting. Yet we are still voting on it this year. Our insiders at Tesla voting to block adoption. Our proposal to declassify the board won 55% at the 2021 meeting. Yet the board now wants a halfway measure. Instead of voting on directors every year, the board wants it to be every other year. How large of a majority is required to move our board to action? Because of the board's inaction, proxy advisors ISS and Glass Lewis recommended against the directors up for election at this meeting and against the halfway measure toward declassifying the board. As stated in the proxy access proposal, two of our largest shareholder proposals, BlackRock and Vanguard, voted in favor of 87 and 91% of shareholder proposals to establish proxy access during the last 3.5 years. Additionally, proxy advisors ISS, Glass Lewis, and Egan-Jones all recommend a vote for proposal number 6 at this meeting. Let's cut the bull. Give shareholders a direct voice in nominating directors. Vote for proposal number 6. Proxy access at Tesla is long overdue. Thank you.
Thank you,
예,
Mr.
이 사진
Ritchie.
투표에 직접적으로
The
참여할 수
second stockholder
있도록
proposal is
접근성을
an advisory
놀리자는
vote
얘기를 하고
regarding
있습니다.
annual reporting on anti-harassment and discrimination efforts. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. This stockholder proposal is proposed by the New York State Common Retirement Fund, whose representative Emily Bogan is on the line to present the
인종차별에
proposal.
대해서 얘기하고 있습니다.
Ms. Bogan, I would like to invite you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. On behalf of New York State Comptroller Thomas Napoli, trustee of the New York State Common Retirement Fund, owner of over 1 million shares of Tesla valued at approximately $1.2 billion, I'm presenting Proposal 7 on the proxy.
잘 안 들리네요.
The proposal requests a report describing and quantifying the effectiveness and outcomes of company efforts to prevent harassment and discrimination against protected classes of employees, including but not limited to sexual harassment and racial discrimination.
성적 차별이라든지 인종차별이라는 거에 대해서 회사가 더 열심히 일을 해줘야 되겠다고 생각을 하는 것 같아요.
Fair processes allow our team members to bring their whole selves to work. We value and include underrepresented communities at all levels of our company. Meanwhile, there have been multiple news reports, allegations, and lawsuits in recent years.
각각 안건에 대해서 한 3분씩 다 얘기를 하게끔 해주네요.
Recently concluding that there was ample disturbing evidence to support the outcome of a California discrimination trial in October of 2021.
캘리포니아 정부 쪽에서는 프리몬 공장에서 인종차별에 대해서 소송을 걸었죠. 연방 정부 EEOC에서도 차별에 대해서 조사를 시작했습니다.
The California Department of Fair Employment and Housing is suing the company over allegations of discrimination and harassment of Black employees at its San Francisco Bay Area factory. Shareholders need the information requested for the following reasons. First,
주주들도 인종차별에 대해서 알 권리가 있다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Consequently, transparency into the extent of workforce mismanagement is limited. Secondly, civil rights violations within the workplace can result in substantial costs to companies, including fines and penalties, legal costs, costs related to absenteeism, and reduced productivity. Thirdly, a company's failure to properly manage its workforce can damage corporate goodwill, making it more difficult to retain and recruit employees and jeopardize its relationship with its customers and partners. Lastly, a Deloitte Global Executive
인종차별이 여러 가지 분야에 있어서 영향을 미치는 거에 대해서 얘기하고 있습니다. 이 고객들과의 관계라든지 다양한 면에서 영향을 미친다고 합니다.
Its efforts translate into improved performance in managing its workforce and reputation, and whether there's alignment between Tesla's stated policies and actions.
시계 보네요, 마틴도.
Thank you, Ms. Bogan. The third stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding annual report on board diversity. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal.
다양성에 대한
The stockholder proposal is proposed by
안건입니다.
Alex Lamb, whose representative Julia Cederholm from Arjuna Capital is on the line to present the proposal.
이번엔 다이버시티 다양성에 대한 얘기를 할 겁니다.
You will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. My
name is Julia Cederholm from investment management firm Arjuna Capital, and I move Proposal 8, asking the company to report on policies and practices to improve board diversity. That is, to attain racial and
다양성을
gender
올리는
representation
특히
better
인종
aligned with the
다양성이죠.
demographics
예,
of
이런 것들을
employees and
올리기 위해
customers.
노력해야 된다고 제안을 하고
Board diversity
있습니다.
efforts are in the best interest of Tesla and its investors. Numerous studies show greater diversity leads to better company performance.
행복이맘님
and increased shareholder
안녕하세요.
value. Regulation has increased as the value of board diversity becomes more evident. At least 12 states have enacted or are considering board diversity requirements, and the NASDAQ requires companies attain at least 2 diverse directors. But more is needed. In a country comprised of
이
51%
사진의
women, 42%
나스닥에서는
minorities,
최소한
current
2명의
board diversity aspirations fall short.
다른
A
인종,
board
소수
director's
인종
diversity is reflective of
이사를
its
뽑을
employee
수
and
있게
customer
요구한다고
base
얘기하고
better positioned to
있습니다.
outperform. When a board includes diverse members, it can better recognize the unique needs and interests of its stakeholders.
그래서 이 사진에 소수 인종을 포함시켜야 된다고 지금 얘기하고 있습니다.
And broader societies in which they operate, according to a survey by Institutional Shareholder Services. Unfortunately, Tesla's board diversity is disproportionate with its employee base in U.S. demographics. The board remains majority white and majority male, despite a majority minority employee base.
이 사진 대부분이 백인에다가 남자라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Far below its employee base, which is 60% minorities. The board is also made up of only 25% women. Additionally, Tesla currently faces litigation with California State for failing to deal with allegations of systemic racism and sexism at the automaker. It's crucial Tesla addresses these issues head-on at the highest level of governance, its board of directors.
성차별적인 거에 대해서 캘리포니아 정부에 의해서 소송당한 것도 얘기하고 있습니다.
Such goals and transparent reporting are needed to create progress over time and hold the company accountable to its investors, employees, and customers. I urge you to support Proposal 8, requesting Tesla.
멜론 머스크님 안녕하세요. 얼마만인가요?
Such action can better position our company to respond to stakeholders' needs and concerns and ultimately improve performance. Thank you for your support of Proposal 8.
Thank you, Mr. Cederholm. The fourth stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding reporting on employee arbitration. Our board has recommended to vote against this stockholder proposal. The stockholder proposal is proposed by Nia Impact Capital.
Employment arbitration, 고용 중재에 대해서 또 제안을 한다고 합니다.
Dr. Hall, I would like to invite you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kristen Hull, founder and CEO at NIA Impact Capital. On behalf of NIA and our co-filers, I formally move proposal number 9. As an investor, I'm here today like many of you because we believe in the strength of this company to lead in the transition to the next sustainable economy. This resolution requests that Tesla's board of directors oversee the preparation of a report on the use of mandatory arbitration for dissolving disputes between workers and the company. Your yes vote today will impact Tesla for the better, and here's why. Significant concerns have been raised about the persistence of racism and racist actions at Tesla.
고용 문제가 생길 때마다 강제적인 중재 조항이 들어가 있는데요. Mandatory arbitration이라고 합니다.
Which alleges that hundreds of black Tesla employees have been discriminated against in job assignments.
흑인 고용인들이 계속해서 차별을 당하고 있습니다.
And being passed up for promotions. Allegations also include the use of racial slurs and racist graffiti. Also troubling may be a culture of retaliation where employees who have raised
인종차별적인
these issues with
발언이라든지
management
인종차별적인
have
낙서가
claimed
지금
being
계속
retaliated against.
흥행하고 있다고 얘기를 하고
Given the grave
있습니다.
allegations, it's time that investors get a look under the hood. Or the frunk, as it would be with Tesla.
이거 조사해야 된다고 얘기하고
When
있습니다.
disputes are handled via arbitration, the underlying facts and outcomes of the cases often remain secret, preventing other employees from learning
강제
about
중재 조항으로 자꾸
and
문제를
taking action
해결하니까
on shared
이런
concerns.
문제들이 다 비밀에 붙여지고 공공연하게 아무한테도 밝혀지지 않는다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Allowing pervasive discrimination to continue.
계속해서 이러한 것 때문에 차별은 계속해서 일어나고 있다고 합니다. 이런 회사의 행위가 멈춰져야 된다고 합니다.
Bias, discrimination, and harassment in the workplace create uncompensated risks both for investors
편견과
and, as it
차별
seems to be,
없애야
invite
된다고
legal,
합니다.
brand, and financial risks for our company Tesla. In this day and age, we know strong human capital management is essential. Recruiting, hiring, and training an employee, and then treating them in a way that inhibits their top performance, even preventing them from
블랙커피님
doing their
안녕하세요.
job well. It doesn't make moral or financial sense. Tesla is known, as we all know, for its innovation and its leadership in technology. And now Tesla needs to rev up to solve this grave human capital issue.
테슬라가 기술적인데 혁신적인 리더로서 역할을 하지만은 이제는 소셜 캐피탈, 사회 자본, 인적 자본에 있어서도 조금 더 인종차별을 없애서 또 발전을 해야 된다고 얘기하고
We at
있습니다.
NIA ask again that the board evaluate the effects and the impact of arbitration on Tesla's brand, on its employees, and on its workplace culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. The fifth stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding reporting on lobbying. Our board has recommended that our stockholders
테슬라의 로비 활동에 대해서 얘기하라고 다음 제안이 나오고 있습니다.
Whose representative Lara Campos is on the line to present the proposal. Ms. Campos, I would like to invite you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Laura Campos. I am the director of the Corporate and Political Accountability Program at the Nathan Cummings Foundation. I'm participating in Tesla's annual meeting to move proposal number 10 on behalf of the foundation and its co-filer, Green Century. Proposal 10 requests that Tesla's board of directors evaluate and report on Tesla's direct and indirect lobbying and policy influence activities.
직접적 간접적인 로비 활동에 대해서 공개하라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
1.5 degrees Celsius. The proposal also seeks information on plans to mitigate risks presented by any misalignment that might be found. Here are just a few of the reasons we categorically disagree with the board's assertion that Tesla does not need to evaluate and report on its lobbying and policy influence.
테슬라가 로비 활동에 대해서 직접적 간접적 로비 활동에 대해서 공개를 안 하고 있다고 비난하고 있습니다.
Mechanisms in place to ensure its political activities, including lobbying expenditures, support its business model and its
로비 비용이 얼마인지도 밝히지 않고 있다고 합니다.
In fact, the company earned an abysmal 0 points out of a possible 70 on the most recent CPA-Zicklin Index of Corporate Political Disclosure and Accountability. Tesla contends that a simple online search provides the information sought in this proposal. That is incorrect. To our knowledge, the only information Tesla discloses is found in its quarterly lobbying activity report, which all active registrants are required to file. These reports do not enable investors or the public to determine whether a company is taking a stance for or against a particular bill. Furthermore, this
분기별로 로비 활동에 대한 보고를 하긴 하는데 이게 완벽하진 않다고 얘기를 하고 있죠.
Tesla's message to investors when it comes to its political activities appears to be, just trust us, we're the good guys. But that's simply not sufficient for a public company. Peers like GM and Ford have substantially more disclosure in this area. What's more, public statements by Tesla's CEO raise real questions about Tesla's actual stance on legislation intended to support the world's transition to sustainable energy. For instance, in a 2021 Wall Street Journal interview, Tesla's CEO expressed a lack of support for the Build Back Better Act, a centerpiece of the Biden administration's efforts to address climate change. In a statement indicative of the need for stronger governance mechanisms when it comes to political activities and lobbying, Tesla's CEO noted that, quote, no one at Tesla has actually brought up whether they care about this bill or not. We don't think about it at all, really.
예, 테슬라 CEO인 일론 머스크가
would ensure that someone at Tesla is thinking about the company's stance on critical pieces of major legislation.
행정부의 서스테이너블 에너지 관련된 법률 통과에 대해서 직접적인 얘기 안 하고 있다고 얘기하죠.
Thank you very much. The sixth stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding the adoption of freedom of association and collective bargaining policy. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. The stockholder proposal is proposed by Christian Pauli, who has prepared a pre-recorded message.
집회의 자유에 대해서 얘기하고 있습니다. 이번에는.
Hello shareholders, members of the board. My name is Christine Pauli. With support of the Shareholder Association for Research and Education and co-filers at Domini Impact Investments and SOC Investment Group, I wish to advance number 11 on Tesla's proxy statement, urging adoption of a policy to respect rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining in the company's operations. These rights can enhance shareholder value.
예, 집단 박인을 할 수 있는, 협상을 할 수 있는 집회의 자유를 달라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Diversity, equity and inclusion, and strengthening human rights due diligence. Yet in the face of public allegations of Tesla interfering in unionization efforts, a National Labor Relations Board ruling concluding that
노동조합 유니온을 만드는데 테슬라가 협조를 안 하고 있다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
The CEO's history of public comments on this topic. To aid informed investment decisions, investors require clarity on Tesla's approach to these fundamental labor rights and management of related risks.
노동권에 대해서 적절한 보호를 안 해주고 있다고 얘기하고 있고요.
Although the board states its commitment to human rights, Tesla's human rights policy omits mention of freedom of association or collective bargaining. The board points to Tesla's supplier code of
인권이라는 거는 집회권이라든지 이런 집단 협상을 할 수 있는 권한을 줘야 된다고 얘기를 하고 있고요.
Creating a double standard. The NLRB findings already mentioned challenge the board's claim that the company complies with all applicable laws, and often local laws fail to adequately protect these rights.
회사는 법을 잘 지키고 있지 않다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Explicitly reference freedom of association in their human rights policies, which do apply to operations. Even non-unionized peers, including Toyota, Volkswagen, and BMW, have statements that respect rights of freedom of association.
토요타나 복스바겐은 다 이런 거 집회 자유 보호하고 있는데 테슬라는 그렇지 않고 있다고 얘기하고 있죠.
gap on freedom of association and collective bargaining represents material, reputational, regulatory, legal, and operational risk, and creates workforce uncertainty.
이렇게 집회 자유를 보장하지 않는 게 불확실성을 이끈다고 얘기하고 있고요.
To freedom of association and collective bargaining is essential. We urge the board to clarify the company's policies and practices to respect rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining in its operations. Fellow shareholders,
이런 것들을 보장하라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pauli. The seventh stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding additional reporting on child labor. Our board has recommended that our stockholders vote against this stockholder proposal. The stockholder proposal is proposed by the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, whose representative, Sister Winifred Dorothy, is on the line.
아동 노동에 대한 제안이 나오고 있습니다.
I would like to invite you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
The quest for clean energy by Honourable overtly perpetuates violations of children's human rights.
아이들의 인권을 잘 보호하지 못하고 있다고 합니다.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Winifred Doherty, and I am representing the Sisters of the Good Shepherd, New York Province, which is a Tesla shareholder and the lead filer of this proposal, requesting Tesla issue a public report on how it will eradicate child labour in its factory supply chain by 2025. I hereby move
아이들 노동에 대해서 어떤 활동을 벌이고 있는지 리포트를 내라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
This ask is supported by the New York State Common Retirement Fund and international rights advocates. The Sisters of the Good Shepherd support the education and sustainable development of children and their families in cobalt mining communities in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Sisters of Good Shepherds 단체를 광고하러 나온 것 같네요.
The harms on the health, development, and education of children who are exploited by child labor and cheap labor, and also
주주님 이건 뭐 청문회 수준으로 하고 있군요.
the harsh
원래 이렇게 하잖아요.
lack of safety standards and reports of abuse place every child at risk.
근데 테슬라 공장에서 지금 아동 학대에 관련된 보고는 없는 걸로 알고 있어요. 그래서 이분은 그냥 추상적으로 거기에 대해서 보고를 하라고 얘기를 하고 있네요.
It's that the child has the right to be protected from economic exploitation and from performing any work that is likely to be hazardous to or interfere with the child's education.
주주총회 시작한 지 40분 됐는데 3대1 주식 분할 여기에 대해서는 아직까지 얘기도 안 나오고 있어요.
Despite Tesla's claim that no child labor has been detected in its EV battery supply chains, the company faces a class action lawsuit.
이 전기차 관련된 모든 공급망에 있어서 아이들 노동 학대에 대한 보고서가 없다고 얘기를 하고 있고 정확하게 보고를 하라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
As stated in the resolution, child labor in the cobalt supply chain exposes Tesla and you, its investors, to financial, legal, and reputational risks. We demand
테슬라의 평판에 안 좋을 거라고 얘기를 하면서 공급망 쪽에 전체적으로 관리를 할 필요가 있다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
with international laws prohibiting child labor and with the company's own written policy.
Sister Dorothy, I would like to remind you that 3 minutes have passed.
예, 3분 지났다고 끊어버렸습니다.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Dorothy. And the final and the eighth stockholder proposal is an advisory vote regarding reporting on water risk. Our board
이번에
has
water risk,
recommended to
물
vote
위험에
against this
대해서 얘기하고
stockholder proposal.
있습니다.
This stockholder proposal is proposed by JZD Investments, whose representative Elizabeth Levi from as you saw is on the line to present the proposal.
water
Ms.
risk,
Levi, I
물
would like to invite you
위험입니다.
to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Elizabeth Levy. Thank you for the opportunity to present proposal number 13. Climate change is causing more intense droughts globally, and those droughts are predicted to worsen. This climate change-related water scarcity poses material risks to our company.
기후 변화가 물 부족을 일으키고 있습니다.
Including our companies, are facing increasing competition from
물에 대한 관리는 제 전공이죠.
such as drinking water and agriculture, among others. This competition for water resources will only become stronger. Tesla's automotive manufacturing uses significant amounts of water.
테슬라 공장에서 물을 많이 사용하고 있습니다.
Where our company's water use has generated public and ongoing controversy. Tesla supply chains are also increasingly subject to
테슬라
water risk.
공급망도 굉장히 물을 많이 쓰고 있죠.
Water efficiency and is exploring ways to reduce water consumption. Shareholders have no meaningful way to put these actions into context. Generalized company-wide water use data does not address
테슬라 전체적으로 여기에 대한 물 부족 사태에 대한 적절한 정책이 없다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Every region has different levels of water strain and scarcity, use, and competition.
모든 지역에 물은 부족하고 여기에 대한 경쟁이
Investors
있습니다.
cannot accurately assess material risk. Such risks include the potential for operations disruptions due to climate-related water depletion, overconsumption.
물이 결국 부족하면 회사 전체 경영에 영향을 미칠 거라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Of its interactions with communities in water-constrained areas, which increasingly poses reputational risk to the company.
그 회사의 평판에 위험이 있다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Investors with the data necessary to assess water-related risk. This is not a choice between making good vehicles and providing the requested data. As one of the top 10 valued companies globally, Tesla has the resources and the know-how to do both. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Levi. Please note that now is the final opportunity to
마지막입니다.
submit any proxies in order for them to be counted.
마지막으로 투표를 할 수 있는 기회입니다.
I declare that the polls are now closed.
예, 제안은 이제 문 닫았습니다. 더 이상 제안을 못 냅니다. 투표도 끝났고요.
Based on the proxies that we have previously received, I'd like to announce on preliminary basis that our stockholders have approved the recommendation of Tesla board on all agenda items except item number 2 regarding the reduction of director terms to 2 years, item 3 regarding elimination of applicable supermajority voting requirements, and item 6 for an advisory vote regarding proxy access. While over 98% and 97% respectively of the shares present and entitled to vote on items 2 and 3 did so, as recommended by the board, unfortunately, less than 2/3 of total outstanding shares, which were required to approve these items, submitted votes for these items. After the final tabulation is completed, we will formally announce the results of the voting by forming a Form 8K
이 사진 2년으로
within
된
4
거는
business days
부결됐고요.
of today's meeting.
슈퍼 머저리티 3분의 2 이상
That
요구하는 거
concludes
그거
the official
없애려는
business
것도
of today's shareholder
부결됐습니다.
meeting, which is now adjourned. We will now move into the company update presentation by Elon. If you're currently joining through the virtual meeting site,
예, 모든
please go
안건은
to
그 세 건 빼고는 다 통과됐다고 합니다.
to continue to watch the presentation.
아비라님 안녕하세요.
During the course of the following session, we may discuss our business outlook and make other forward-looking statements. Such statements are predictions based on our current expectations. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those disclosed in our most recent filing 10Q with the SEC. Such forward-looking statements represent our views as of today, should not be relied on thereafter, and we disclaim any obligation to update them after today.
예, 주식 분할 이런 것들 모든 것들 다 통과된 것 같습니다. 예. 일론 머스크의 이제 발표가 남았습니다. 일론 머스크 나왔네요.
Welcome.
골드님 안녕하세요.
Well, I feel welcome.
환영하는 것 같군요.
Well, it's great to see everyone here.
만나서 반갑습니다.
Welcome.
테슬라 옷 입고 나왔다고 또 자랑하고 있어.
So, yeah, welcome to Giga Texas.
기가 텍사스에 오신 거 환영합니다.
All right. So let's see. I'll go over, kind of recount the year. It's been an amazing year. The Tesla team has done amazing work. And I have to say, like, one of the
멋진
things
해였다.
that I was like, what do you enjoy most in life? I really being able to work with a super talented group of people.
훌륭한 사람들과 같이 일해서 너무 좋았다.
And manufacture those products and deliver
예,
to
좋은
people,
제품 생산해서
make people
좋았다.
happy from those
너무
products.
행복했다.
That's one of the best things in life.
예, 그게 내 인생에서 가장 좋았던 것이라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
So yeah, I'd just like to say what an honor it is to work with such a talented team at Tesla, and that's the reason we've been able to do all these things. So, yeah, we're aiming to achieve a 2 million vehicle run rate by the end of the year.
예, 올해 말까지 200만 대를 예, 생산할
This is the
거를
best crowd. I mean,
목표로 하고 있습니다.
I love you guys too. So, anyway, thanks to the hard work of the Tesla team, we've already been able to
주식
achieve
분할 날짜는
1.5
아직 결정 안
million unit
됐습니다.
annualized run rate. And depending on how the rest of this year goes, I think we might get close to, or we'll get approximately at the 1.5 million mark, and be exiting the year at a 2 million unit run rate. And then also worth noting, just recently in the last few weeks, we made our 3 millionth car. So, yeah.
300만 대나 만들었다고 합니다. 2023년까지 300만 대 만들 거라고 얘기하는 것 같아요.
You know, it's pretty wild to think like 10 years ago where things were. You know, 10 years. August 2012, we'd made 2,500 roadsters, and
2,500대 로스터를 만들었었고 옛날에
couple of hundred Model S's ish.
몇백 개 모델 S도
But
만들었었고
less than 3,000 cars. So 10 years ago, we'd made less than
10년
3,000
전에
cars.
3,000대도 못 만들었다고
And
얘기하고
here we
있어요.
stand 10 years later, having made over 3 million.
그러니까 지금은 300만 대를 생산할 수 있는 능력이 있다고 얘기하고 있죠.
And actually, this is one of the cleanest exponentials I've.
런 레이시.
You know, it looks like one of those sort of you know, business plan presentation things that doesn't actually come true, but you know, you see it in the venture capital business plan situation.
예, 사업식 발표하는 거 별로 안 좋아하는 것 같아요.
That's the amazing part. And yeah. Yeah.
자동차가 기하급수적으로 증가하면서 생산이 되고 있는 거 얘기하고 있습니다.
So, thank you. So, yeah, it's great here. I love California too, to be frank. I'm gonna be clear.
발표 정말 못하는 것 같아요. 캘리포니아 좋아하는데 그냥 말 정말 못하네요.
We got great teams in California, and
예, 캘리포니아에 좋은 팀 있다고
we
하고.
got a great team in China and Shanghai, and a great team in Berlin and Germany and Europe. It's so.
예, 베를린에 차이나에 좋은 팀이 있다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Yeah.
주소가 없어요 말이.
And I thought it's interesting to look at the cumulative profitability since inception. And this approximately tracks to
큐뮬레이티브 이제 여태까지 축적된 수익성을 얘기하고 있습니다. 계속해서 증가하고 있죠. 2021년 증가한 거 보여주고 있습니다.
This psychic damage. That green curve is approximately correct. But I'm just very proud of the fact that we've actually been able to produce more cash than we have spent, and have positive retained earnings.
쓴 것보다는 현금이 훨씬 늘어났다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
That's a really big deal. It's very hard. So, I mean, this is a big deal, and I think it's going to go up from here.
네, 여기서부터 계속 뭐 회사가 잘 올라갈 거라고 얘기를 하고 있네요. 아무튼 현금이 많이 있다는 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
So you can see we obviously had some challenges there in 2017.
2017년에 좀 어려웠다고 얘기하고 있고요. 지금 잉여 현금 흐름이 어떻게 나왔는지 보여주고 있습니다.
And this is really before autonomy.
지난 4분기에 70억 달러의 잉여 현금 흐름이 생겼네요.
But solving autonomy is will really be an amplification of free cash flow to a degree that is, you know, you run the numbers and it's like, wow, can it really be that crazy? But it could be that crazy. You know, this year, I swear.
노래 부르려고 그랬어.
We got anyone here in the FSD beta program?
FSD 베타 프로그램 가진 사람 손 들라 그랬더니 다 손 드네.
Sweet. Yeah, no, totally. Okay, well, I thought. All right. I thought you might ask that. So, because it's 10.13, we've been working on for a while, and actually, what's sort of happened is we've made some pretty significant architectural improvements. So it's really going to be more than a 10.12 to 10.13 release. It might, I don't want to speak too soon, it might qualify for 10.69. So it's got to earn that.
지금 FSD가 좀 발전을 많이 한 것 같아요. 아키텍처럴리 좀 발전을 했대요.
But there's a lot of improvements.
굉장한 향상을 보여줬다고 합니다. FSD가.
Complex left turns.
좌회전할 때 문제도 많이
We're going to
해결했다고.
solve Chuck's turn. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. We have a lot of respect for valid criticism.
비난을 많이 받았지만 많이 향상되고 있다고 얘기하고 있고요.
I think we're at roughly 90% success rate with your turn. So yeah, we're almost at 100.
회전하는데 거의 90%
so it's
이상
and
성공률을 보여주고 있다고 합니다.
yeah, so I'm hopeful. It might be next week.
다음 주에 나올 수 있다고 합니다. 좋은 거. 2주 정도?
Yeah.
버전 11 나올려나 본데요.
It's working well for me. So yeah. So anyway, teams like working literally 7 days a week and making major improvements.
7일 내내 향상시키려고 노력하고 있습니다.
Because we're effectively solving an important aspect of artificial intelligence, real-world AI for self-driving, which
AI 자율주행 쪽에 향상시키려고 노력을 하고 있다고 합니다.
To solve self-driving, because how is the road system designed? It's designed for a biological neural net and eyes, and so naturally the thing that would therefore work the silicon analog is cameras and
생물학적인 이 신경망 쪽에 향상을 시키려고 노력을 하고
sort of by
있다.
accident, we're actually solving an important, I think, very useful element of artificial intelligence.
AI의 가장 큰 문제들을 해결하고 있다고 합니다.
I definitely want people out there, talented people who are working on AI, to consider working at Tesla, because I think we're solving just a very important part of AI and one that can ultimately
인공지능의
save
가장
millions of
중요한
lives
것들을
and
해결하려고 노력하고 있다고 합니다.
prevent tens of millions of serious injuries by driving just an order of magnitude safer than
수만 건의 피해를 안 입히려고 노력을 하고 있다고 합니다.
This is super important.
굉장히 중요하다고 얘기하고 있고요.
I mean, there used to be a time when we'd have elevator operators, and it was normal to have elevator operators and have like a big relay and stuff. But every now and again you make a mistake and shear somebody in half. So I'd be like, oh, okay. Then we went to automated elevators, and you press a button and you go to your floor, and it just works. And that's kind of how it's going to be in the future with cars.
예, 옛날에는 엘리베이터 운전사가 있었는데 이제는 버튼 누르면은 엘리베이터가 자동으로 움직이고 있는데 뭐 그런 식으로 뭐 차도 발전을 할 거라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Lots of interesting things to say on AI Day at the end of next month. So I'll leave that to next month.
예, 다음 달에 AI 데이 때 좀 더 얘기를 많이 하겠다고 합니다.
When we started out here, obviously we were told electric cars were impossible, and even if you could make an electric car with a couple hundred miles range, then nobody would buy it anyway because people just love gasoline cars. So, when we started out, it was down.
전기차 200마일 가는 거 아무도 안 샀는데.
To do an electric car company. And we were told, you're never going to make
자,
money.
지난 12개월간 전기차 마진율이 내연기관차보다 높았다고 지금 얘기를 하고 있습니다. 축하하고 있습니다.
Exactly. Exactly. Tesla is not just a car company. Tesla is many companies in one, and we're as much a software company as we are a hardware
테슬라는
company.
단순한 전기차 회사가 아니고 자동차 회사가 아니라 소프트웨어 회사입니다.
And software both in the car and obviously with neural net training, but also software in the factory as well.
자동차뿐만 아니라 공장뿐만 아니라 AI 모든 거에다 뭐 뉴럴링크 다 되는 거죠. 소프트웨어.
So factories are just an enormous cybernetic collective of humans and machines and software.
공장 자체가 소프트웨어의 집합체라고 얘기하고 있습니다. 자동차뿐만 아니라.
I don't think other OEMs think like that. But that's what it is.
재영님 안녕하세요.
You know, there's a lot of talk of competition among electric vehicles, but really, it's the EVs are electric vehicles taking market share from gasoline cars. So, yeah. So
전기차는 내연기관차로부터 그 몫을 차지해 가고 있다고 얘기하죠. 전기차끼리 경쟁을 하는 게 아니라 내연기관차랑 지금 경쟁을 하고 있습니다.
The press releases to 5 years ago, that was not the case. They were, you know, not saying nice things about electric vehicles 5 years ago.
5년 전에 전기차에 대해서 다들 좋은 얘기 별로 안 했는데요.
Car company in the world has embraced electrification and agrees that it is the right path, and this is really what we set out to do with Tesla. You know, it was not to get maximum market share or anything. It was really try to get to show the auto industry that it was possible to go electric, and that if you made compelling electric cars, people would buy them. And that's what's happened, and I think that's really profound. So, yeah.
전기차의 시대가 왔습니다.
Also, when our competitors advertise for electric vehicles, every time they do that, our sales go up. It's pretty funny. Yeah. But we do we have open sourced a lot of patents, so they can use our patents for free, and so we're helping out, and I think it's sort of a mutual prosperity thing, and it's good. So. Yeah, so Model Y.
모델 I에 대해서 얘기하네요.
Count chickens until they're hatched, but I think we're tracking to have Model Y be the highest selling vehicle by revenue
모델
this
Y요?
year, and the highest by unit volume next year. So.
가장 많이 팔리는 자동차가 될 거라고 얘기하고 있습니다. 모델 Y가.
Still a lot of work to do. Like these factories don't
할 일이
just
많은데
magically work. So still a lot of work to do in Berlin and here in Austin to spool up these 2 gigafactories. And we've got different supply chains, and so it's always there's
베를린,
a host of
오스틴
problems.
할 일이 되게 많이 있고 비용 문제도 해결해야 되고 공급 문제도 해결해야 되고
The rate of production is like how fast can you solve the 10,000 problems essentially, and we're solving pretty fast.
문제들을 빨리빨리 해결해 나가고 있다고 합니다.
And we might be able to announce another factory location later this year.
올해 말이면 다른 공장을 발표할 수 있다고 얘기합니다. 공장을 또 새로 지을 건가 봅니다. 올해 말에 발표한다고 합니다. 요거 주가 좀 올리겠는데.
Where should we? Okay, where should we build it?
어디에 공장을 어디다 지을까요? 코리아. 한국에다 줘야죠.
Okay, we got a lot of candidates. No, I'm half Canadian, so maybe I should, you know. But yeah. Well, I think ultimately we'll end up building, I don't know, probably at least 10 or 12 gigafactories, and there will be really gigafactories, like output, aiming for average output of like 1.5 to 2 million units per factory, which is enormous. So. And the
100만 대
our
이상은
Fremont factory in
생산할 수
California
있는.
is already the highest output factory in North America. So
이미 프리몬 팩토리가 북아메리카에서 가장 생산을 많이 하고 있는 공장이라고 합니다.
sorry. Well, I think we'll have a friendly competition between Texas, California, Berlin. Shanghai is hard to beat, I have to say. Shanghai is pretty. Our Shanghai team is just awesome. So
상하이 팀이 최고라고 합니다.
Yeah, anyway. great team there. So, with respect to, sometimes you get this sort of, these bogus attacks of like EVs are somehow worse than gasoline cars, which is not true. The average life cycle emissions of an EV are dramatically lower than that of a gasoline car. I'm kind of telling you things you already know.
예,
But you
평균
think surely this nonsense has been put to bed, but it
가스 배출량이 전기차가 제일 낫겠죠.
Obviously, electric cars is dramatically lower CO2 lifetime than a gasoline car. So anyway, that's kind of obvious. Now this is a thing that I think is super cool. If you add up all the energy produced over the last 10 years by Tesla solar panels, it is more
테슬라가
energy
생산한
that was used to manufacture all of our cars and charge all of our cars at superchargers and at home.
테슬라 태양열 패널에서 생산한 게 모든 자동차에서 생기는 에너지보다도 훨씬 높다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
And I mean, the mission
지난
of Tesla
10년
is
동안.
to accelerate sustainability, and I think this is really amazing. More energy produced than was used in making the car and charging them over billions of miles. So, and we're going to keep obviously increasing.
그러니까 모든 테슬라 공장이나 다른 지역에서 에너지 소비한 것보다도 테슬라 태양열 에너지로 생산한 게 더 많다고 지금 자랑을 하고 있죠.
Sustainable energy production, primarily with solar and wind.
그래서 테슬라 쪽에서는 에너지를 소비한 것보다 생산한 게 더 많다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Sustainable energy because of its wind and solar are intermittent, and then electric transport. And if you have those three pillars, you have a fully sustainable future. And yeah, so it's yeah. So. And obviously, battery packs are very recyclable.
예, 배터리가 재활용 가능한 거죠.
Crunch up a bunch of rocks or crunch up a battery pack, which is like super high grade ore. So it's a no-brainer to recycle battery packs. And we are already recycling. I should point this out. So
예, 배터리를 계속 재활용을 하고 있다고 합니다.
At over 50 a week
일주일에 50개 이상씩.
So Tesla battery recycling is already underway, has been underway, and is scaling up. Now cars are lasting quite a long time, so there's not that many batteries to actually recycle because you kind of have to typically wait like 12 years or something, like quite a long time before the battery actually is no longer useful. Sometimes 15 years.
예, 12년, 15년 정도 배터리 사용할 수 있는데.
Small, but then it becomes very significant long term.
예, 장기적으로는 재활용도 또 중요하다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
So, some factory footage, obviously.
예, 배터리 생산 공장 보여주고 있습니다.
Just 50 packs a week. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, there's actually just not that many packs to recycle because there's not the vast majority of them are still in use. Sorry? Oh yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
배터리 일주일에 50개 이상씩 재활용하고 있다는데요.
So Master Plan 3 is going to be fundamentally about scaling. Just looking at the overall problem from a global macroeconomic standpoint and saying, what are all the things that are needed to achieve a fully sustainable economy? Because I think a lot of people don't know, and really like what tonnage of lithium of cathode, anode, separator electrolyte, electronics.
완전한 지속 가능한 에너지를 창출하는 데는 얼마나 걸릴까 뭐 이런 거에 대해서 말하고
global
있습니다.
economy, which I think the sooner we do that, the better for the planet. And I think just articulating that and just making it clear that this is absolutely doable, and it is being done, and we just want it to be done as fast as possible.
지속 가능한 에너지도
I meet a lot of people out
실현
there
가능하다고
who
계속 얘기하고
have
있습니다.
lost
그렇게
hope.
해왔고요.
They think it's too late, and they think there's no chance, and the Earth is doomed. It's like it's not doomed.
예, 지구는 아직 운명이 닿지 않았다고 얘기하고 있습니다. 아직 기회가 있다고 얘기하고 있는 거죠.
Yeah. Earth can and will be saved. Yeah.
예, 지구는 구해질 수 있다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
So, in addition to battery advancements and electronics advancements and AI, we've also done a lot to simplify the structure of cars to make it easier to manufacture. And one of the things we've done is create the largest castings
자동차 구조를 간단하게 만들었다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
And so we're able to take 171 pieces of metal and
171개였었는데 오스틴에서 모델 Y는 두 조각밖에 안 되는 거죠.
Better ride handling, better noise vibration harshness, better sealing against water. So it's really better in every way.
저 색깔 칠해진 부분이 왼쪽에 있던 거를 오른쪽에 파란색 두 조각으로 만들었다는 거죠.
So and we're going to keep enhancing the casting. So this is a testament to our materials team and to a lot of casting technology. So we're really rethinking the whole way in which a car is made.
재료팀뿐만 아니라 이 캐스팅하는 팀 모두 잘했다고 합니다.
From going from say Model S or even Model 3, we're at about 30%
캐스팅을 해서 로봇 숫자가 줄어들었다고 합니다. 모델 S 프레몽이 제일 많았고 모델 3 프레몽이 그다음에 중간, 모델 Y 프레몽이 적었고 모델 Y 오스틴하고 오스틴 공장 쪽에서 로봇 숫자가 줄었다고 합니다. 공장 구조도 바뀌었다고 합니다. 자, 프레몽에서는 스탬핑하고 바디 만들고 페인트 샵하고 조립하는 데가 이제 다 떨어져 있었는데요. 상하이 쪽에서는 스탬핑하고 바디 만들고 페인트 샵 뭐 조립하는 게 다 한 공장에서 시원하게 이끌어지고 있죠.
I mentioned this before, but obviously everyone will have electric cars. All manufacturers will have electric cars, and eventually, it'll probably take longer than they think, but eventually all cars will be self-driving. And the thing that will be hardest to replicate is
모든 차는
Tesla's
결국
manufacturing
자율주행인데.
technology. So this is actually very important from a long-term standpoint.
네, 못 들었는데 자율주행이 중요하다고 얘기한 것 같습니다.
When thinking about the competitiveness of companies, especially if the companies
회사의 경쟁성에
are
대해서
technology
얘기하고
companies,
있습니다. 기술 회사에 대해서.
I recommend looking at where the smartest engineers want to work. This is wherever the smartest engineers want to work.
엔지니어들은 테슬라를 위해서 일하고 싶다고 합니다. 1등이 스페이스X고 2등이 테슬라고요. 3등이 나사, 4등이 록히드 마틴, 5등이 보잉이네요.
Pro sports team, where are the ace players going? Okay, probably that team will win. So we put a lot of effort into
엔지니어들의
ensuring
드림잡이
that the best engineers
스페이스X랑
in the world will
테슬라라고
work
합니다.
at Tesla, and frankly, sometimes
벨라님
Tesla won,
안녕하세요.
sometimes SpaceX won, but so this was just like last year. But and we do actually, for those curious and maybe want to work at either SpaceX or Tesla, we do allow people to move from one company to the other if they would like. So if you want to spend a better time working on electric vehicles, better time spending working on rockets, you can that's cool. We support that. So yeah. And we've also made a lot of improvement with factory safety. So we
예, 공장의 안전도를 높이기 위해서 노력했다고 합니다.
best factory safety in the industry. And
안전 기록이 계속해서 좋아지고 있다고 합니다.
excited to have very good safety.
작년 1월부터 7월까지 3.8이었는데 지금 좀 낮아졌죠.
And a bunch of this is driven by just encouraging people within the factory to submit ideas for safety improvement. And we've passed our goal of 3 suggestions per employee in this year. And this really is a game changer for improving safety. So, and yeah. You don't have to clap after every slide unless you really want to, but so there's a lot of interest in working at Tesla with 3 million job applications last year. So
예, 이 직업을 테슬라에서 일하기를 직업 신청한 사람이 300만 신청을 받았다고
a lot of
합니다.
interest in working at Tesla.
많은 사람이 테슬라에서 일하기 원한다
Some people
그러고
may occasionally have encountered a supercharger that didn't work. But in
슈퍼차저가
general, the uptime of our superchargers is extremely good.
네,
We just try to make it super
99.96%까지
smooth,
올라갔다고
and
합니다.
because our superchargers are always connected, like the car is always connected, our feedback loop for fixing a supercharger is very quick. And obviously we keep upgrading the supercharger capability. We're now at version 3. We'll start rolling out version 4, I don't know, maybe next year. So it just the superchargers get better and better, and
슈퍼차저가 고장이 잘 안 나나 봐요.
you know, it's the actually, I don't want to give away but let's just say that there's some cool stuff happening on the
교수님 화면
supercharging
뒷배경이
front.
묘지 집 같아. 우리 집입니다.
Alaska, yes.
와, 1시간 16분째 이거 동시통역하고 있어. 어지럽네요.
All right, well, we're basically doubling our supercharger count every year. So if there isn't a supercharger
좋아요 꼭
in
눌러주세요.
some place that you think is important, it probably will be there soon. So we've also made a lot of progress on safety. So our cars are already the safest in the industry. So we have the
실제 세계의 자동차 사고를 보여주고 있습니다. 왼쪽이 오른쪽으로 부닥친 거고, 자 오른쪽이 왼쪽으로 부닥친 거고, 자 위에가 뒤쪽으로 부닥친 거, 아래가 앞쪽으로 부닥친 거. 제임스 린님 안녕하시고요. 오롱오롱님 안녕하시고.
Look at the crashes, improve the crash structure. Also, we improve how the seat belts tension and how the
자동차 사고에 있어서
So in these updates, if we figure out
안전벨트
there's a
같은
slightly
거,
better way
조이는
to
거
deploy
이런
the
것들
airbags to
다
improve the safety in a crash, we'll actually do an
향상시키려고
over-the-air
노력을
update
한다고
to
합니다.
improve the way that the airbags deploy or the way that the seat belt pre-tensions. And we're now starting to include our Tesla autopilot AI to be able to see if a crash is about to occur, and if it
인공지능이 사고가 날지를 미리미리 감지를 하려고 노력을 한답니다. 그래서 사고 나기 직전에 인공지능이 감지를 해서 에어백이 터지게 하거나 안전벨트 텐션을 올리든지 한다고 합니다.
And so that makes the airbag deployment a lot more violent. But if you can anticipate the crash, the airbag deployment can be much better than.
사고를 미리 감지해서 미리 터뜨린다고 합니다. 부닥치기 전에.
We're also seeing FSD beta grow very rapidly, and this is definitely going to go very exponential in miles driven. So we're now at over 40 million miles, and I suspect by the end of this year we'll be
FSD 베타가 지금 구독자가 이렇게 많이 늘어났다고 해서 지금 FSD 지금 운전 거리가 4천만 마일이 지금 넘었다고 얘기를 합니다.
In North America. So yeah. So I should say if basically FSD beta will be available to anyone who requests it by the end of this year. So.
자, 올해 말까지 FSD 베타를 요구하는 사람은 다 달게끔 해준다고 합니다.
So
AI Day
Part
9월
2,
30일입니다.
I think people were blown away, but that's at the end of next month. So we'll leave that. Except there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. So
아주 쿨한 거 많이
I'm
있다고
sort of
합니다.
surprised that people, or at least like analysts out there, are not really understanding the importance of the Optimus robot.
옵티머스 로봇 얘기하네요.
My guess is Optimus will be more valuable than the car than long term.
옵티머스가 장기적으로 자동차보다 더
In fact, it will
중요하다고 얘기하고
turn the whole
있습니다.
notion of what's an economy on its head. At the point at which you have no shortage of labor, an economy is GDP per capita. If you do not have a capita constraint, then the economy just can be arbitrarily huge. So
노동력이 적어지고
it's
옵티머스로 대체되면은 확실히 생산성이 올라간다는
thank you for
얘기죠.
voting. So your vote matters, and it's great to have direct contact with individual shareholders. And thank you for voting to support our proposals. So.
네, 투표해 주셔서 감사합니다.
So the next decade.
다음 10년.
I wonder how many cars we'll have in 10 years.
10년에 자동차가 몇 대나
10 years ago
나올까?
we had less than 3,000 cars. Now we've made 3 million.
10년 전에는 3,000대, 지금은 300만 대. 10년 있다 3천만 대인가요?
I'd say 100 million is pretty doable. So
1억 대도 100 밀리언 1억 대도 가능하다고 하는데 10년 있다가
I'd be surprised if it's not over 100 million in 10 years. And then many other products, some of which you've heard about, some of which you have not. So blurt it out. All right. So we've got some questions from the internet that were voted to the top. So I'll answer these questions, and then we'll take just questions from the audience.
질문을 받겠습니다.
So one of the questions is, how does
성중에게서.
Tesla intend to utilize cash in the coming years? Will we increase CapEx? Well, I guess you can read the
앞으로
question.
현금이
Share
얼마나
buybacks,
늘어날 것
dividends, or
같으냐?
Well, it's interesting. Like Tesla's actually done very few acquisitions. Apart from the Solar City acquisition, it was the only really big acquisition we did, and then the next largest would be Tesla Groman. But Tesla's actually used a remarkably small amount of its equity to do acquisitions compared to other companies.
테슬라는 다른 기업 인수하는데 크게 돈을 많이 쓰지 않다. 솔라시티 인수했었죠.
Which I think is actually a really good thing. But if we do see interesting companies,
흥미로운 기업이
we'll
나타나면
acquire them. But
회사를
it's quite rare
인수하겠다.
for us to acquire a company. But we are interested in companies that are very good at manufacturing automation, software, AI.
제조하고 자동화하고 AI
manufacturing
쪽 회사.
technology in general, that kind of thing.
예.
We
그들을
certainly will
인수할 수
increase
있다고 합니다.
capex. I mean, we're actually spending we're spending capex money and R&D money as fast as we can do so without wasting it. So this is not a
CAPEX
constraint.
증가하려고 노력한다고 합니다.
If we try to spend it any
CAPEX죠.
faster, we'd just be wasting money. So we're cranking hard on capex and R&D.
R&D 쪽에
Depending on
CAPEX를
what
늘리려고
our
한다고
future
합니다.
cash flow
현금
looks
흐름을 더
like,
높게 하려고
I
하고.
think a sort of share buyback is possible. I wouldn't want to commit to that, but
주식 바이백도
well, let's just
가능하다고
make
합니다.
sure you know, that there's not some force majeure event somewhere.
뭐 이상한 현상이
I
없으면은
think we want to make sure we have plenty of capital, and that future
현금
cash flow is
많다.
looking very
자본
solid,
많다.
and the world is relatively stable, and then I think share buyback is on the table. Yeah.
주식을 살 수도 있다고 얘기를 합니다.
So how many factories are necessary to achieve 20 million vehicles?
자사주 매입도 가능하다고 합니다.
Probably roughly a dozen. So we're aiming for 1.5 to 2 million units per factory.
2천만 대를 매년 생산하려면 공장이 12개 정도 있어야 될 거라고 생각을 합니다.
It's hard to get more than maybe 700 or 800,000 vehicles a year out of there. But most places will be aiming for 1.5 to 2. So
모든 공장이 150만 대 정도 생산을 하려고 노력을 한다고 하고 있습니다.
Although we are aiming for
그래서 공장 12개만 한 그 정도 2천만 대 정도 생산할 수 있겠죠. 네, 자사주 매입. 자사주 매입도 온더 테이블에 있다고 합니다. 그 생각 중이라고 합니다.
And the reservation was $99. So, you know, a lot has changed since then.
사이버 트럭 가격 물어보고 있습니다.
The specs and the pricing will be different. I hate to sort of give a little bit of bad news, but I think there's no way to sort of haven't anticipated quite the inflation that we've seen and the
인플레이션 고려해서 가격 결정해야 된다고
But what I
얘기합니다.
can say is that the Cybertruck will be one hell of a product, and it's going to be like a damn fine machine. So,
사이버 트럭이 아주 좋은 차일 거라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다. 가격은 얘기 안 하네요. 혁블리 목물리님 안녕하세요.
And we're tracking to be in production middle of next year from this factory. So that we're going to be installing the production equipment, tooling, and all. Starting the next couple of months, we'll begin the installation. So aiming to be in volume production middle of next year. So. Now, what could possibly go wrong in answering this question?
미국과 중국 간의 지정학적 위험에 대해서 물어봤습니다. 왜냐하면 중국 공장이 있죠 지금.
Oh man. All right. So, I should just pass.
얘기하기
Let me
싫다네요.
just say that you know I hope for peace and respect.
평화와 존경, peace and respect. 말 잘해야 됩니다. 중국한테 찍히면 안 되죠.
Fair enough.
네, 여기까지입니다. Peace and respect, 평화와 존경.
Yeah.
가장 맛있는 술 자사주 혁블리 목물리님.
So we're deploying superchargers wherever we see the greatest need. Now sometimes the greatest need is in some place that is extremely
테슬라
difficult to get
레스토랑에
permits.
대해서 물어보고 있습니다. 예.
Like the
슈퍼차저에 대해서 뭐 땅을 어디 살 거냐.
Malibu was nuts. Like the next level. That took years. So some places are hard to get permits, and some places are easier.
어떤
But
지역은
we are aiming
허가
to
받기가
just
힘들다고
generally-
얘기하고 있습니다.
we analyze the supercharger usage every day, and we prioritize our supercharger locations according to where we see the greatest need.
슈퍼차저를 많이 쓰는 지역에 조금 더 많이 설치를 하려고 하는 것 같습니다.
Well, you know, maybe we should do an online poll for where is it? Where should we put
온라인으로 투표
superchargers?
받겠다고 얘기하는데.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we'll do that. So, I mean, with respect to amenities with superchargers, I think we'll do a couple of just fun things. Like we're going to do a really fun supercharger location in LA. And the general vision is to have something that's like a futuristic, kind of like diner, sort of like
LA의 지난번에 설계도 보여준 것처럼 LA에 아주 재미있는 슈퍼차징 스테이션을 만든다고 합니다.
Yeah, something cool.
뭐
different,
식당이나
and
뭐
with some
극장처럼
style
만드는
and,
거죠.
where you can, get, some great food, and the one in LA, we're planning to have like these big screens at the supercharged location, and the screens will be aiming to show like the 100 greatest movie clips of all time, and so you can like.
네, 옛날에 보여드렸던 건데요. 예, 극장식 슈퍼차징 스테이션을 만드는 거죠.
And watch some cool stuff on the screen. And it'll be open to others who are not, you can come to the restaurant even if you don't own a Tesla. But it'll be like a little gem, I think, there in LA. And then depending on how that goes, we might roll that out to a few other places. But we'll try to do interesting, fun things that are not necessarily economically sensible, but they're cool. So, 4680. This is a
4680 배터리 물어보고
easy
있죠.
one to answer. We are
얼마나 빨리 나올 거냐고 물어보고
making a
있어요.
decent number every week.
매주 많이 생산하고
I
있다고
think we'll
합니다.
be in high volume production by the end of this year.
올해
It's always difficult
말까지는
to predict.
4680 배터리
There's a lot
많이
of new
생산할 거라고
technology.
합니다.
What's the slope of the S curve on ramp? And except that I'm confident we will get to the high production rate, but it's probably end of this year before we get confidently to a high production rate.
아주 높은 생산량은 올해 말까지 도달할 거라고 합니다.
Enough supply from enough battery cell supply from suppliers to make 1.5 million cars this year. So it's not a constraint on output.
예, 150만 대씩 공장에서 생산할 정도로 배터리를 생산할 수 있을 거라고 합니다.
And new master plan is not yet ready. I don't know, maybe aim to get it done this month. But like I said, it's going to be
마스터
just
플랜이 있냐고 그러는데요.
looking at the
앞으로
big
5년,
picture.
10년 내.
What does it take to make Earth fully self-sustaining from an energy standpoint? And just map it out and say this is what needs to be done. Tesla will try to be as useful as possible in this regard, and hopefully lots of other companies can join
지속
in
가능한
and help
계획이죠.
accelerate the sustainable energy revolution.
예, 지속 가능한 에너지 혁명을 이루려고 한다고 합니다.
With peak inflation behind us, so the inflation question is interesting because
인플레이션 문제, 인플레이션 질문이 있네요.
into where prices of things are going over time, because when you're making millions of cars, you have to purchase commodities many months in advance of when they're needed. Like so, you need to tell. Because it's a very long supply chain.
모든 부속들은 몇 달 전부터 미리 다 주문을 해놔야 되기 때문에 미리미리 예상을 좀 해야 된다고 합니다.
What we're seeing now is that most of our commodities, most of the things that go into a Tesla, not all, but
예,
I don't know,
모든 선물 쪽의 원자재들은
trending down in 6 months. 6 months from now, this could change.
6개월 정도 있으면 가격이 떨어질 것 같다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
That we are past peak inflation.
인플레이션 정점을 지났다고 얘기를 하고 있고요.
Economic prognostications is recipe for disaster. But my guess is that we are past peak inflation.
인플레이션 정점 지났고요.
That we will have a recession. I think it will be a relatively mild recession.
예, 경기 때 약한 경기 침체가 있을 것 같아요. 이거 완전 추측인데.
Speculation, but I would guess it's a mild recession for I don't know 18 months or something like that. Would be my best guess right now.
예, 18개월 정도 있다가 약한 경기 침체가 있을 것 같다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
Misallocations in the U.S. as we have had in the past, like leading up to 2008, where we were building primary housing units at twice the rate of of household formation, which obviously doesn't make sense.
2008년 얘기하고
And there
있습니다.
were a lot of companies that were over-levered. The leverage or debt that companies have right now is relatively low.
2008년에 예, 빚 많이 진 거 얘기하고 있습니다.
So, yeah, I would say probably, mild, moderate recession, maybe 18
예,
months.
경기 침체에 대해서 굉장히 약하게 보고 있습니다.
And I think inflation is going to drop rapidly. That's my guess.
예, 인플레이션도
what do you guys
결국
think?
떨어질 거라고 빨리 떨어질 거라고 생각을 하고 있습니다. 근데 완전히
Sound
추측이라고
about right?
얘기하고 있습니다.
Okay, great.
피가님 안녕하세요.
All right, cool.
Yeah, the Tesla robot essentially changing the economy. Like, how can we base an economy on automation, AI? With the full self-driving that's being implemented, you're going to have a full fleet of vehicles that can drive themselves. You'll have these robots that can go and get into your vehicle and place things. Will you be moving to a rental model, or how will you base a Tesla model on selling cars whenever these cars are fully automated, can drive wherever they would like, and hopefully would be applicable to having multiple people use the vehicle instead of just one person?
예, FSD를 렌탈 사업이라든지
Yeah, so
많은 사람들이 이용하는 쪽으로
It's interesting
옮겨갈
to think
거냐고
about an autonomous
물어보고
car
있습니다.
because when you drive around, look at how many cars are parked. Like, they're just parking lots full of cars everywhere.
차가 너무
because
많다.
Cars need a
주차장에도
driver,
많고.
and so most of the time they're doing nothing.
아무것도 안 하는
typically
차들
a passenger car
많다.
is going to be like 12 hours a week or something like that of usage. Now, if it's autonomous, maybe it can get to 50 or 60 hours of usage. Then that's sort of 4 or 5 fold improvement in the utility of a car.
자율주행이
But the
발달하면은
interesting thing is that the car still costs the same. So, in that scenario, at least for some period of time, the effective gross margin on an autonomous car kind of boggles the mind. So, in terms of how the cars will be operated, I mean, I think it would be, just you'd have the option of owning a car, using a car just occasionally when you need it, like an auto Uber or something like that. And there would be people, and then an owner of a car could decide that they want to use their car or they want to add or subtract it to
자기
the
차를
fleet.
사용할 거냐, 빌려 쓸
So I think it
거냐.
would end up being some kind of combination of like Airbnb and Uber or something like that.
에어비앤비,
Yeah,
우버
so sometimes
같이
you can go all the way from
세
owning
개가
it to
바뀌어갈 수도
renting
있고
it sometimes, to renting it a lot, to completely renting it.
빌리는 게 더 많아질 수도 있고 점점 더 많아서 결국 렌트만 할 수도
The
있고.
utility of the car will just be mind-blowingly great. And then, like I said, Optimus will really bring the future to now. So, yeah, maybe.
차를 팔아야 했는데 공유
Maybe
차량으로
we could
하면은
adopt
차를
this
좀
out
덜
with,
팔게 되겠죠. 고민하는 것 같습니다.
Yeah. I mean, assuming we get all these things, we do all these things, I think probably Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world.
테슬라가 가장 가치 있는 회사 중에 하나다. 가장 가치 있는 회사라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Elon, hi.
결국 이런
We all know
목적으로
how the
위해서.
media treats you.
So well.
Yeah. So I don't have a question for you today.
코로나님
I
안녕하세요.
just want to say on behalf of my 6-year-old at home, Kyler Scott, that's watching right now, who thinks you're awesome as well. Thank you for making the world a better place.
세계를 더 좋은 곳으로 만들어줘서 감사합니다.
Thank you.
감사해하고 있습니다. 일론 머스크한테. Thank you for making world a better place.
Well, love you guys too. I mean, I'd just like to say thank you for helping make it happen. Yeah, because without you, without the early adopters of electric vehicles and sort of full self-driving, Tesla would not be where it is today. So thank you for your support.
예, 지지해줘서 감사합니다.
What a presentation. Thank you, Tesla team. It's an honor to be a stockholder. Elon, I brought you the final checkpoint for SpaceX, a mini moon. Maybe little X can play with it. My name is David Guajardo. I'm a former Brownsville resident. My first suggestion is to add a new steering mode option where the driver can select lazy mode and have the software accommodate between comfort, standard, and sport modes, depending on the speed the car is going. This will increase handling and safety. Second, when disengaging autopilot with the wheel, the accelerator stays on. Please fix it. Last one, weeks ago, talking to Mr. Sam Patel at Starbase, I told him that the team should add a tab in the SpaceX website and disclose what type of skills and preparation are going to be needed from us to accomplish the greatest adventure ever in human history, going to Mars.
All right, well, thanks for the suggestions. Those are good suggestions. Thank you. All right. Sure.
Hi. So I do actually have a question, but one thing.
분할 안건은 이미 통과가 됐습니다.
What do you think people miss and should be excited way more about? And what do you think people are frightened way too much about and shouldn't be worried at all?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think actually the questions and ideas posed by retail investors, like small retail investors, like I think many of you in the audience, are actually the most insightful. And I find it remarkable that essentially amateur, like normal everyday people actually understand Tesla better than the analysts. I mean, you must see this as like.
아까 3건 반대한 거 빼고 다 통과됐습니다. 아까 얘기 드렸습니다.
And I mean, I think to really say what's the point of a company is the point of a company is to create useful products and services. A company should not exist in and of itself. It exists. It's a group of people gathered together to make products and services. And if those products and services are great, it's a valuable and useful company. And if they're not, it's not. And so really to understand
아까 저분이 차를 좀 잘 만들어달라고 편안하게 좀 만들어달라고 하고 갑자기 막 차 속도가 올라가는 거 좀 바꿔달라고 얘기를 했습니다.
I think ironically a lot of the people that sort of professional analysts don't drive Teslas. So I'm like, well, okay, maybe you should. Yeah, cool. I mean, we aim to make Tesla the most amount of fun you can have in a car, So, yeah. So let's see. So I think that there are a lot of really good and insightful ideas that I see on the internet, on Twitter and whatnot. And oh yeah, Twitter.
트위터 얘기해서. 트위터 말하기 싫은데.
So so let's see. I think sometimes people fret a bit too much about short-term things which are clearly just just bumps in the road type of thing, where there might be a supplier shortage or some shutdown in some part of the world. But really, those things are clearly just kind of one-off items and don't really matter for the long term.
공급망 문제라든지 부속 문제 뭐 이런 것들, 원자재 문제 이런 것들은 장기적으로 큰 문제는 아니라고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
If like looking at the sort of cumulative output and cumulative miles driven, and you can see that cumulative output is a very clean exponential. And so I guess sometimes people fret a little bit too much about this quarter or that quarter, but if you're a shareholder, a company is really like the net present value of future cash flows. And so what is one quarter is not really a big deal. I think if you see people panicking, then instead of saying, "Oh man, my stock's gone down,"
한 분기 주가가 떨어지고 실적이 안 좋다고 주가 떨어졌다 그래서 너무 실망하지 말라 그러고요. 결국에 주가 다 올라갈 거라고
for the
얘기하고
meeting.
있습니다.
I became a Marine because I want to help protect your future base on Mars. My friends and I are trained and we support the mission. Would you be open to this idea?
Yeah, Space Marines, absolutely.
스페이스 마린, 예, 우주 해병대 어떠냐?
Hi, Elon. A lot of Tesla's products today focus on electrical energy for a sustainable future. Do you foresee Tesla perhaps exploring thermal energy sustainable products other than HVAC? Like, say, for example, in this gigafactory, taking the residual heat from the gigapresses and applying them to
열을
say, the
이용한
climate
에너지도 생각하고 있냐고 물어보고 있습니다.
Yeah, I think.
예, 안건에 있던 거는 다 통과됐습니다. 2년 이사 하는 것만 부결됐고 3분의 2 슈퍼 머저리티로 투표하는 거 그것도 거절됐고요. 그다음에 프락시 액세스 거절됐고 그거 3개 빼고는 뭐 주식 분할 포함해서 모두 다 아까 승인됐습니다. 대권님 안녕하세요.
So in the car, we carefully manage the electrical and the thermal energy, and so like one of the ways that we achieve a long range in cold weather is by both charging the pack and heating the pack, and then the pack acts as both an electrical and a thermal reservoir to achieve long range even in very cold climates. And so we're constantly within the car shuttling heat back and forth between motor power electronics, pack, and the cabin volume. So that same concept should be applied to factory. I agree.
예, 자동차에서 열을 주고 받고 하고 보존하는 거를 계속 쓰고 있다고 해서요. 예.
My name is Justin. Some know
환경
me
보호를
as
위해서 그런 식으로 또 노력을 하고 있다고 합니다.
I had the #1 voted question last earnings about scaling to extreme size. I have another big question I think a lot of people would want to know. In regards to when would Tesla launch their first pilot city for the Tesla network, the robotaxi business?
로보택스 비즈니스에 대해서 얘기하네요.
Well, you see, I think it's actually going to be probably much more widespread than that because Tesla is developing a general solution for self-driving, and it's not really specific to one city or location. Now, there's different regulatory requirements in various cities and states. So some locations will offer regulatory rules than others, but we are aiming for a general solution.
일반적인 해결책을 찾으려고 노력하고 있습니다.
If you created a sort of a randomly generated alternate Earth, our system would still work. Like literally, like you had some sort of computer-generated Earth that obeyed roughly the same rules as current Earth. Our system is sufficiently generalized that it would work in
이제 일반화된 지구와
alternate Earth. So, yeah.
일반은 지구에 쓸 수 있는 일반화된 솔루션 자율주행을 개발하려고 노력하고 있습니다. 예, 게리 블랙이네요. 게리 블랙 여기 와 있네.
So, I'm Gary Black, managing partner of the Future Fund. Tesla's our largest position. Probably the thing we worry about most. It's not PR, but it's succession. So, key man risk is a big thing. How does the board think about your succession, and especially when you have a judge is going to decide in a couple months whether or not you have to take over Twitter? How would you split your time?
Well, I think Tesla is definitely gathering a lot of momentum, and we have a very exciting product roadmap.
성공에 대해서 얘기하고 있습니다.
That will last a long time. So now, obviously, execution against that roadmap is difficult because these are not
여러 가지 계획이 있는데 그거 실행하기가 쉽진 않다고 얘기하고 있고요.
So, but I intend to stay with Tesla as long as I can be useful.
테슬라에 계속해서 남아 있으려고 노력하겠다고 합니다.
I can be most useful, I think, on the product design and manufacturing.
석세션이면 고용 승계에 대해서 물어봤네요.
and
트위터로 갈 거냐 뭐 이런
manufacturing
문제를.
optimization. So, and we do have a very talented team here. So I think
좋은 팀을 가지고 있고.
I think Tesla, would continue to do very well even if
테슬라는 계속해서 잘할 거라고 얘기를 하고 있고요.
or went back to my home planet, maybe.
집을 우주로 옮겨갈 수도 있다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
But so yeah, but no, I think it's a good question, and to be frank, I don't have an easy answer.
쉬운 답은
open to
없다고
ideas.
얘기하고 있고요.
But I'm definitely working as hard as I can.
예, 계속해서 열심히 일하겠다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
And I'm very excited about the future of the company, and
예, 테슬라 미래에 대해서
it's got a very
굉장히
bright
좋다고
future,
얘기하고 있고요.
even without me. So
내가 없어도
and I'm not leaving.
테슬라 잘 되겠지만.
So I obviously have to be a little careful about what I say about Twitter because there's this like lawsuit and stuff.
예, 테슬라에 대해서 얘기하고 싶지 않다고 합니다. 법률 문제가 있어서.
People get bent out of shape. But I do use Twitter a lot, so it's not like I'm like randomly going around wanting to acquire companies or something. I'm not like a hedge fund. I'm not a hedge fund or private equity firm or something.
헤지 펀드 아니기 때문에 아무 회사나 막 인수하진 않고.
Publicly traded securities I own are Tesla and Twitter. That's it. So.
트위터만 그랬다.
And I think in the case of Twitter, since I use it a lot,
트위터 많이 사용했고.
a lot,
많은 걸 트위터로 보냈고.
But I think I do understand the product quite well, so
트위터를 잘 알았기 때문에 인수하려고 그랬다.
Of where to point the engineering team at Twitter to make it radically better.
예, 트위터를 더 낫게 만들려고 했다.
And I do sort of have a grander vision for what I thought
큰 그림이 있었다.
or X Corporation could have been back in the day. It's a pretty grand vision, and now obviously that could be started from scratch, or
뭐 다시 바닥부터 시작해야
would help
되는데.
accelerate that by 3 to 5 years. So it's kind of like something I thought would be quite useful for a long time. I know what to do. Don't have to have Twitter for that, but it's like I said,
트위터가 꼭 필요한 건
probably at least a
아니지만
3-year accelerant.
X 코퍼레이션이라고 테슬라, 스페이스X 이런 거 다 합쳐가지고 뭔가 더 나은 세계를 만들고 싶었는데 뭐 그래서 트위터 인수하려고 그랬다고 얘기하고
How's it
있습니다.
going, Elon? My name's Durrani, and with the projected release of the robotaxi coming in the years ahead, would it be looked at as the Boring Company? Would it be used to get regulation for full self-driving, and would it be a good venue for the robotaxi? Also, my little
보링
brother
컴퍼니
Zane says
터널
hi,
뚫는
owns all
게
Tesla Hot Wheels.
택시에 좋은 거냐,
Okay,
뭐에
cool.
좋은 거냐
Well, I say
물어보고
hi to him
있습니다.
So, yeah, the Boring Company is making good progress actually, and for the longest time, people, like I'd give a talk somewhere and people say, "What are opportunities you know about?" I was like, "Tunnels," and they'd be like, "For 5 years," I said, if somebody could just do a tunneling company, we can solve traffic, and we can have also very high-speed transport between cities, because while I'm a fan of trains and I like high-speed trains, they do intersect the go through towns and neighborhoods and chop people's
열차
property in
빨리
half,
가는
and
열차도
they're very
좋아하는데
loud. So
네,
but
아주
I
시끄럽다고
want to be
얘기하고
clear, I'm pro-train. Sometimes the train people,
예, 열차도
I take every
좋아하지만
opportunity to go on interesting trains. But if you have a sort of a much simplified version of the Hyperloop, it's really just Tesla's in a tunnel that's depressurized.
예, 터널 같이
You can go
훨씬
between
더
cities
간단하게
super
된 이
fast,
터널을
and
만들면
without disrupting the stuff above ground.
예, 지상의 많은
So that's
것들
kind of
방해하지
the vision for
않고
Boring
소음 안
Company is
일으키고
to, make roads 3D and have sort of an arbitrary number of layers of roads, And I think you can solve essentially any traffic problem in
교통
any city
문제를 터널
if you
뚫어
go
가지고
3D
해결을 할 수 있다고
with,
합니다.
with tunnels, so multiple layers of tunnels going from
예,
connecting
터널 여러
the city. And you
개를
can
1, 2,
also
3층 뭐
turn
이렇게
a lot of
만들어
the
가지고
streets into
교통 문제를
parks,
해결할 수 있다고
because
합니다.
you won't need to have cars on the roads. You won't need parking. So I think Boring Company, I think, is capable of much more transformation than it may seem. And we actually have an operational tunnel in Vegas right now. So yeah, if you go to Vegas, go to Resorts World, and you can hop in the tunnel and go to the convention center.
이미 라스베가스에서 잘 운영되고
And you can
있는데
pay in Doge. Exactly. I'm doing what I can to support Doge.
보링 컴퍼니 있으면서 터널이 있으면은 뭐 차도 더 필요 없고 주차장도 필요 없다 뭐 그렇게 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
I think Boring Company is going to do some pretty interesting things in the years to come.
그러니까 생각보다 조금 더 흥미로운 일이 일어날 거라고 얘기하고 있습니다.
I think many people share my experience. I gave you, or at least Tesla, my complete family's legacy because I believed in it. And thank you for you and your company outperforming. I think you saved a lot of us. Thank you.
네, 우리를 구해줘서 감사하다고 얘기하고 있습니다.
So my question is this.
주주님 감사해요. 힘들어. 2시간 동안 동시통역하고 있으니까.
Between one another to prevent a collision.
Yeah, sometimes too much telemetry.
Yes. Thank you. So, taking this to a higher level, do you see Teslas communicating with one another, and Dojo turning into some kind of ultimate air traffic control for Tesla supply chains and robotaxi? Thank you.
Actually, that's an interesting idea.
테슬라끼리 서로 의사소통을 할 거냐고 물어보네요.
Dojo is just to be really
슈퍼컴퓨터 도조가 다 테슬라를 통제할 거냐고
We
물어봅니다.
actually already have, I think, maybe the fourth, and maybe approaching the third most powerful computing center in the world for
예, 세 번째로 가장 강력한 슈퍼컴퓨터가 도조라고 합니다.
At this point, which obviously uses just an enormous number of GPUs and stuff. So our first goal with Dojo is to make it competitive and be more
도조를 아주 경쟁력이 있는 컴퓨터로 개발시키려고 노력하고 있습니다.
And we might get there soonish. And then, of course, it can be used for many other neural net training tasks. It's a computer designed from the ground up to
도조가
optimize
뉴럴링크
neural net
테스트들
training,
뭐 하고
which
잘 하고
really
있다고
no
합니다.
computer has that's never been done before. And yeah, so and then maybe it'll do traffic control. I haven't really thought of that. The Teslas probably there'll be some merits to communicating. For Teslas to communicate to each other, but that won't be needed for full self-driving at all.
테슬라가 서로 의사소통하는 게 필요하냐? 셀프 드라이빙에 필요 없다고 하네요.
Will be manually driven. So the value of Tesla to Tesla communication is not that high, except for perhaps communicating traffic issues. Or accidents, potholes,
교통 문제 서로 충돌 문제가 있을 때 서로 소통하는 게 중요한데.
That kind of thing. So it's like you're getting real time. A Tesla ahead of you has seen a road closure, and you get that real time updated to your car, so you don't get stuck.
테슬라가 먼저 가서 뭐 길이 막혔다는 걸 뒤차한테 알려주고 이런 건한테 도움이 될 수도 있겠다.
We are working on right now. So.
예.
All right.
근데 자율주행이 되면은 그렇게 필요 없을 거라는 얘기도 하네요.
Thank you very much. Hello, Elon.
Hey.
Simply, I would just like to say thank you for everything you've done for Earth and the community and everything you've done. I have one question.
지구를 위해서 해줘서 감사합니다.
Tesla, being a shareholder or purchasing a Tesla, how can the masses help push your vision?
수학이 테슬라 비전에 어떻게 도움이 되냐?
Encouraging sustainable energy and being supportive of that, I think, is really helpful. So, but I say you're doing great so far. So, like I said, without your support, Tesla wouldn't be where it is. So it's people like yourself and everyone in this room and out there, and the 3 million people who've bought our cars, and the millions who've gotten solar, and that all really helps make the world a better place for the future. And I'd say, definitely, I'd like to sort of convey a message of optimism about the future.
미래에 대해서 긍정적으로 보고 싶다고 하는데요.
really hard to accelerate sustainable energy, sustainable transport. The future will be
지속
good.
가능한 에너지 발전을 위해서 계속 노력하고 있다고 합니다. 사람들이 좀 알았으면 좋겠다고 얘기하고요.
I'm literally saying, if we work hard towards a sustainable future, we will achieve it.
우리가 열심히 지속 가능한 에너지를 위해서 노력하면 우리가 그걸 얻을 수 있다고 얘기를 하고 있습니다.
Alright, thanks guys. Thank you.
자, 감사합니다. 가려고 그러네요. 네. 갑니다. 예, 끝났네요. 네, 오늘 주주총회는 여기서 끝났습니다. 자, 아까도 얘기 드렸듯이 안건은 13개가 다 통과되려고 했는데 그 중에 3개는 통과가 못 됐고요. 10개는 통과됐습니다. 그래서 3개는 2년짜리 이사직하고 3분의 2 이상 투표를 해야 되는 슈퍼 머저리티 그거 취소하려고 그랬던 거, 그 다음에 프락시 액세스 그거 3개는 부결됐고요. 나머지는 통과됐습니다. 자, 여기까지 하겠습니다. 자, 2시간 동안 함께 해주셔서 감사하고요. 구독, 좋아요, 알람 설정은 제 채널 향상에 큰 도움이 될 겁니다. 자, 주식 분할 아까 됐다니까. 그러니까 아까 거절된 거 빼고는 다 주식 분할 된 겁니다. 자, 그렇습니다. 3분의 1 주식 분할. 자, 제가 들은 바로는 그게 맞습니다. 자, 아무튼 오늘 고생하셨고요. 오늘도 좋은 하루 되시고요. 제가 라방을 매일 하진 않지만 이렇게 또 중요한 라방은 해야 될 것 같아서 왔습니다. 자, 주식 분할 됐다니까. 자, 아까 거절된 거 빼고는 다 됐습니다. 3개 빼고는. 자, 그렇습니다. 투표 결과 아까 나왔습니다. 자, 자, 그러면 들어가시고요. 구독, 좋아요, 알람 설정 잊지 마시고요. 자, 오늘도 좋은 하루 되시고요. 한국에서. 자, 미국은 이제 밤입니다. 7시 반이니까 우리 좋은 밤 됩시다. 자, 자, 주주님 가시고요. 주주님이 누군지 다 알 것 같은데. 제시카님 가고요. 클레오님 가시고요. 혁블리몽블리님 가시고, 박예스님 가시고, 써니님, 자, 벨라님 가시고, 진웅님, 다 가시고요. 클레어님, 자, 오늘 여기까지 하고요. 저는 이만 돌아가도록 하겠습니다. 고생 많으셨고요. 자, 오롱오롱님 가시고요. 자, 토요 정모 때 뵙겠습니다. 오늘 목요일인데 그럼 토요일 날 한국 시간으로 밤 9시에 자, 갑니다. 자, 여러분 가정에 사랑평가 넘치길 기도하고요. 자, 가보겠습니다. 네, 안녕. 네, 갈게요.